The NASCAR Sprint Cup Series returns to Martinsville this weekend, and there's a lot of work that goes into getting that track ready. Bob Grebe continues his Do My Job, Bob series this morning live from the Martinsville Speedway. So what did they have you do, Bob?
Well, we got to paint the wall. It's going to be what a great experience. Of course, logos are everywhere in NASCAR. The sponsors pay a lot for that. They're on the drivers, they're on the cars, and they're all over the tracks. And here at Martinsville, those logos get a lot of exposure because of all the beating and banging. And as I found out, it takes a steady hand to paint those signs. As the racing action heats up this weekend at Martinsville, a car or two will hit the wall. That barrier serves two purposes. One, to keep fans safe. The wall also acts as a billboard for companies to advertise. Sponsors pay a lot of money for that exposure. That's why guys like Keith Grubbs and his crew travel from track to track, poring over the details.
All right.
To get the job done right, it takes a lot of paint, a lot of time, and a lot of patience. And when you see a race car slam into something that you just painted a couple days before, what's that like?
That's job security. You love it, because if they don't mess it up and they don't hit it, then that doesn't give you anything to do when you go back.
And there was plenty for the crew to do.
And so some of the late model sportsmen's cars got into this Sprint sign and pretty much destroyed it. And now our job is to put it back and make it look TV ready before the event this weekend.
Each company's sign calls for specific colors, including a particular shade of yellow in Sprint's logo.
Color code number is PMS 136.
And each track requires different types of paint. At Martinsville, Keith uses high-gloss oil paints because it's a daytime event. At tracks like Bristol, he uses flat latex paint.
Because if there's being a night race, you don't want anything reflecting back on television that you wouldn't be able to read.
All right, can I jump in here?
Time to get Bob in here.
My task was to go over the major holes with black paint. How many times have you heard jokes about watching paint dry? I seem to be rolling along smoothly. How am I doing?
Gosh, Bob, you're going to take my job. Doing a great job.
What's really impressive is watching Keith repaint the letters freehand and have them match the logo. How many times have you painted the word Sprint, you think?
Several hundred. Several hundred.
Until I messed things up. After Keith went to all the trouble of getting the S just right, look what clumsy does here. Gets it all over his finger and all over the S. As far as you know, Bob, I am not cringing back here.
No, I'm not cringing.
In a sport where speed defines success, I was more slow and sloppy.
Well, look, your ass is getting tired.
Look
at all the running.
I'm going to leave this up to the professionals now, because look what I just did to that.
All right, let's see if we can clean that up.
That is awful. I knew it was time to hang up the paint roller, but how do professionals know when they're finished?
I don't think you're ever 100% satisfied, knowing you can do a little bit more to it to make it just a little bit better. But at some point you look at it and you say, you know what? Here's what it is. You move on to the next one.
And that's the great thing. That's the great thing for Keith, is that there are plenty of more signs to go around. He had several to paint here. And Kimberly, this is important stuff here, certainly at Martinsville, because number one, the cars go slower at this track because it's a short track speedway compared to, say, Talladega, where it's a super speedway. They're doing close to 200 going by those signs. You don't get a chance to look at them all that closely. But here at Martinsville, a lot of cautions, a lot of opportunities for those sponsors to get that exposure. So you want those signs to look perfect.
Yeah, absolutely. And I can see the wall behind you. That looks pretty good. I assume you didn't have anything to do with that.
No, I did the one over there.
All right. New